Hello, doctors. On today's podcast, I want to talk about why injury work. Why should you put injury work into your private practice? I want to tell you what happened to me. I want to tell you how I came to really like injury work and why. So, I graduated from chiropractic school in 1988. I went to work for a friend of mine, was working in a practice in Washington State. I played rugby. I played national level rugby, pretty high level. He had graduated, I think, a year before. I played rugby with him. He said, hey, I got a doctor here that's going on a fishing trip. They're taking some time off. We got a very busy practice. We need an exam doctor. Could you go out and do it? I was like, great. Yeah, I'll do it. I graduated. Didn't have a license. I could come in and I could do exam work under the other, doctor's license and things. I couldn't adjust patients. I couldn't treat patients. And so I came in as a very busy practice. I mean, we were seeing probably 450, maybe 500 people a week in a 4.5-day work week. And I was spending my weekends in the mall doing spinal screenings to get more people into the clinic. Right? So it took me I was there for about a year and realized that wasn't quite my thing. And, I felt like I could do more, and I could, we had patients in there where we were treating them very long term, and I thought I could do better. Make a long story short. So I decided to venture off on my own. First 2 years on my own, I starved to death. I think I made $5,000 my first year and $20,000 my second year. I'd gotten married. We relied on some wedding money that we got to actually get this whole thing rolling, my wife and I. So in the second full year, at the end of the second full year, I knew I needed help. And I hired a coach, and I hired a consultant. And that was the best thing that I ever did. I was never without a consultant from that point on. I mean, my practice just shot up. And I went from seeing, probably maybe 20 patients a week up to 200 patients a week. I went from making no money to making a lot of money. And what was a lot of money for me. And I did that for 3 years. For 3 years I worked. But I worked. I mean, we worked 70, 80, 90-hour work weeks. I mean, when I wasn't in the clinic adjusting people, I was out of the clinic working marketing, going to events, just constantly working to build my clinic 6-7 days a week. So it wasn't like 60-hour, 70-hour work weeks were like normal. And I'd been doing that at that point for like 5 years. And I was sitting in my office one day and I was going, you go through all the stuff that you go through in a private practice as a private business owner. You go, yeah, I got Medicare, and at that time there was preferred provider organizations were being established, and I had insurance contracts, and what groups do I want to be in, what groups don't I want to be in, billing changes, electronic billing, things were changing continuously in the market, and you had to keep up with it. So, I'm sitting in my office on a Sunday one day, and I'm catching up with paperwork, which I often did. I worked 6 days a week in the office at that point. We were open Monday through Saturday. We did a half day on Saturday, and I was busy. I mean, when we were in there, and when the clinic was open, it was busy. So, when you're dealing with the day-to-day operations, you're dealing with new people, and this person's going to move, or that person got pregnant, or this person's going to quit, or this person didn't work out that we hired. So there's constantly all this activity going on. So I'm sitting in my office, and I'm treating everything. I'm treating Medicare, I'm treating insurance, I'm treating work comp, I'm treating personal injury. So I'm sitting in my office, and it was, I was really successful, but I had this sort of epiphany moment where I realized I was good enough in private practice that I could start to decide what I wanted to work on and what I didn't want to work on. And what I liked the most was the injury. I liked the injury work. Now, the reason why I liked the injury work is I had read statistics. There's lots of statistics that the injury patient doesn't fully recover. And I was becoming, and was striving to become, one of the top of the line doctors to be able to do injury work and also to be doing realignment work. So I knew I was really good at it, and these patients were like exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted the challenge. I wanted the patient that came in that had the injury, whether it was at work or whether it was in an auto accident. They came in at work. They're a key employee. They're a key person, or they're a key owner, right? And they can't continue to have this problem go on because it affects their ability to earn a living, or they can't have this. They don't want to have chronic headaches or chronic neck pain or chronic low back as a result of this spinal injury, right? So that's the part that I love. Now, the other thing I loved about it is I didn't have to deal with patient finances. That made it really easy. Good, no patient finances, no financial consult, no insurance companies were changing a lot. They were starting to go with higher deductibles, low number of visits. So I didn't have to deal with all, hey, this is how much care you have, this is what you're going to need, this is what the insurance company will cover, what it won't cover. I didn't have to deal with any of that, right? So it was like absolutely ideal. Now, the only thing you did have to do, and I did have to do, is I had to get better at the medical legal aspect of things. How do I document better? How do I head off the questions that might be asked that throw me in depositions? And in those days, you had a lot of depositions. You did a lot of depositions. So I had to learn how to navigate that aspect of it. But what I really needed to do was I made a decision on what kind of practice do I want to have. There's patients I like to treat. There's patients I didn't like to treat. What didn't I like to treat? I didn't like Medicare. And it wasn't that I didn't like older people. That wasn't it at all. I just didn't like what they were attached to. I didn't like the fact that, one, if I'm dealing with somebody that had never been to a chiropractor before, and now they're 65 or they're 70 years old, there's not a lot I can do with that spine. And that spine becomes more of a let me stabilize it and let me maintain it. But maintenance and all the rules and requirements with Medicare were horrible. And the insurers and generalized healthcare plans was getting worse and worse. Pre-authorizations were coming in. It was just worse and worse. It was a nightmare. And all I wanted to do was treat patients. So I looked and said, what I want to fill, or the kind of work that makes me happy as a provider, is injury work. That's what I want coming into my office. And that's how I really got into a lot more injury work, is it just started with a decision of what I liked working on. Now, for some of you, Medicare is like your absolute, oh my God, I can't wait to have another Medicare patient walk through my clinic, and I love my Medicare patients. That's fine. I'm not going to try to take that away from you. The other thing that I realized, and this may help you, is I realized that my clinic was full of vehicles. So I had goals, right? I had financial goals, I had future goals of what I wanted to be able to do. How much money did I want to earn? How much did I want to be able to pay my people? How many benefits did I want to have for my people? There's a lot of times when you're developing a clinic and you're developing a team, you also have team members. Like, I wanted to be able to pay my people really, really well. That's one of the things that would happen when a consultant would come in and they'd look at my staff pay, and they'd go like, hey, we should, why do you pay so much? What do you cut that back? And it's like, hey, we're not cutting that back. That's not where we're going to cut. We're going to grow. We're going to expand. We're not going to cut. These people need to be here, and I need to keep them here. And in order to do that, I need to pay them well enough so that they don't ever consider leaving, the really good ones. So that was all possible through vehicles. Now, what I mean by vehicles is your clinic in Medicare. A vehicle is a means by which you get to where you want to go, right? So depending on your goals, like if I have a goal, I'm in Clearwater, Florida right now shooting this video. If I want to get to LA, like I can get to LA on a bike. That is a vehicle, but it's going to take me a lot of effort. It's going to take me a lot of time. I could also get there on a motorcycle. It's going to be a hell of a lot better than a bike, but it's still kind of a problematic vehicle. It might rain, it might hit snow, it might be winter, my butt's going to get sore, or I can fly in a jet. They're all vehicles. Now, when you have financial or you have goals, you also have vehicles. In your private practice, there's four main ones that I can think of. There's Medicare, there's general insurance, there's cash, and there's injury work. In my experience, the injury work is the most lucrative. It's the fastest, get you where you want to go to the fastest. So that was another reason where I looked at it and said, okay, gosh, I don't have to deal with finances. We get paid extremely well, and I get to do whatever I want to with the patient as long as I'm within guidelines to get them well. And I don't have to consider, this is the perfect thing. That's why injury work became so important to me. And that's why I think it's so important for everyone else too, because injury work is the only work it's recession proof. It's inflation proof. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Right now, at the time of this is 6/26, I think, 2023. We have inflation that's been at like 10%. People are hurting in the market today. They don't have cash. They don't have cash for cash programs. They don't have cash for insurance, deductibles, things like that. They're going to go without care. Injury patients, not a chance, because it doesn't affect them. So that was the other thing that I liked, is it made my clinic a lot more valuable. You all have an end goal at some point of what are you going to do with your clinic? Well, the more valuable you make your clinic, the more that exit is better for you. So I just wanted to let you know today on a podcast why I chose injury work. I chose it because I love it. I chose it because I love treating it. I chose it because I love the risk associated with minimizing the future problems that the patient would have, because they're super high risk at having a lot of them. And I really felt that we could seriously minimize it. I love the fact that I did not have to deal with finances. I love the fact that it's lucrative. And I eventually loved the medical legal aspect of it, because once you understand it, it's super, super simple to navigate. And that's why I loved personal injury practice. I wanted to share that with you today, doctors. When you listen to anything that I do on a podcast, they're short, sweet, to the point. Hopefully you get something. It's for you to think about something. Hopefully you got something from today's podcast. If you want more information about our Smart Injury Doctors program, simply go to www.smartinjurydoctors.com. If you want more type of materials from me that are at no cost to you, go to the Facebook user group, which is Smart Injury Doctors Practice Building Success Network. Just apply there. It's free. And doctors, as always, I appreciate your time, your attention. I appreciate what you do. And I look forward to delivering more content on the next podcast. Thank you.